Arrogant former classmates arranged a 5-year reunion and lured their usual target there just to mock him. Back in high school, they called him all sorts of names: freak, shy, going nowhere. And now they wanted to laugh one more time for old time's sake. That evening, Marcus Green stepped into the Rutherford Academy banquet hall in a faded hoodie, scuffed shoes, and a silence as still as water. Back then, they had called Marcus a loser. Now, he was a black single father with the sleepless eyes of nights spent cradling his son and pushing code. Laughter sputtered around him like damp firecrackers. Brooke Whitman smirked. Chase Walker boasted about unverifiable startups. Tyler Voss, the rhyme-loving MC, had jokes pre-written on his cue cards. They thought their comedy set was ready. But when Marcus stopped in the middle of the room, calm as if his nerves had been soundproofed, the air sank half a breath, like something else was waiting in the night. A few hours earlier, a white envelope sat wedged beneath a stack of unopened mail on his small kitchen table. Pale blue lettering read, "Class of 2018 Reunion. You're invited." The fridge was covered with children's drawings: a crooked sun, a Lego train, 2 figures holding hands under the scribbled words, "Dad plus me." Marcus brushed the envelope's edge and glanced at Jaden, his 6-year-old, swapping Lego wheels with innocent focus. Rutherford Academy replayed in his mind like a tape in reverse. Glaring white walls, neat rows of lockers, the slap of leather shoes on the polished floor, and the only black boy in a sea of white uniforms, head bowed, clutching his books like a shield. Weird. Won't last. Too timid to succeed. Those words once had teeth, now worn shells, but still sharp when touched. "Daddy, I finished the train car. Can I watch 10 more minutes of cartoons?" Jaden's bright eyes looked up. Marcus ruffled his son's hair. "Okay, if you brush your teeth first. And remember to say, please, to Mrs. Evans." He dialed his neighbor 2 doors down. "Could you watch Jaden tonight for a few hours?" A warm voice replied, "Don't worry, Marcus. Your little man's a sweetheart." Marcus watched his son hug the stuffed tiger, his heart lighter. He knew why he would go, not for revenge, but to close a door. So, one day, when his boy asked about Dad's past, he could tell a story free of bitterness. He pulled a thin jacket from the closet. The crooked mirror on the wall reflected a man with dark circles, but steady eyes. Nothing on him screamed success, and that was exactly how he wanted it, living in noise-canceling mode. For years, Marcus had chosen the radar's blind spot, signing documents and reviewing AI infrastructure by day, patching bugs and drafting specs by night. At dawn, mixing formula, folding laundry, soothing his child. Others might call it poor balance. To Marcus, it was responsibility, and responsibility didn't wait for applause. Drizzle dusted the street as he locked the door with a familiar twist. Each stair he descended shed another layer of the loser label others had slapped on him. A cab dropped him at Rutherford Academy banquet hall. Lemon polish floated out on a cold gust. Gold balloons arched over a long table stacked with name tags. Marcus found Marcus Green, pinned it on, his safety pin snagging on a loose thread. Whispered blades skimmed behind him. Hoodie vibe for sure. Think he lives with an aunt, probably hauling crates. He walked past the banner. Class of 2018. Presented by Summit Gatherings. None of them knew the presented by tonight wasn't just for show. Tyler Voss tapped the mic, reunited and richer. Laughter scattered, a little forced. Marcus picked a table half in shadow, poured water, set down his glass. A thin ring of condensation stamped the white cloth. The first marker of the night. At the bar, Chase Walker swiped his card. The machine beeped a cold refusal. The bartender tilted the screen, politely hiding the word failed. Two men muttered, Chase's app crashed again. Investors hate public flops. Brooke Whitman floated over, champagne fizzing. Marcus, long time, you look so vintage. Her smile never reached her eyes. She turned as quickly as she came, leaving ripe perfume in her wake. On stage, the Then and Now slideshow began. Lawyer in Boston, Pilates studio grand opening. New VC fund, multi-million AUM. Fresh labels lacquered over the old. The noise thickened, the joy hollow. Marcus quietly scanned the room like system logs, lag where laughter came late, throughput dipping whenever Tyler's jokes dragged, static leaking from gossiping clusters. He dipped his finger into the condensation ring, pulled it outward until it blurred, then vanished. Another ring would appear. That was water's nature, and the nature of shallow stairs. Coming, going, never touching the core. Daddy, I want to build the train taller, Jaden had said that afternoon, an echo now in Marcus's mind. Taller means stronger, he'd answered. Tonight, he was building something taller too, not for them, but for his son. The scene rolled on smoothly. Empty glasses, clinking cutlery, high heels ticking on the floor. All that background noise masked one truth. Collective laughter only lives when pointed at a shared target. They thought they had found that target. Marcus took another sip of water, then set his glass down. The second ring printed sharper. He knew he was in the right place at the right time, and the night hadn't even reached its turning point. The music swelled, as if trying to tape over the silences that had just cracked open. Tyler Voss spun, grinning into the spotlight. Let's play Then and Now. Photos flicked past. Ryan Grant back in his lacrosse days, now king of the golf club. Haley Brooks, once prom queen, now managing a medical spa. The room laughed on cue like a studio audience. Marcus stayed at the edge of the light, his hand resting lightly on his glass. The first water ring had dried, leaving a faint halo like chalk half erased. Then the next slide appeared. A gray frame. Photo not provided. A snort broke the air, followed by snickers. Tyler lowered his voice with mock sympathy. Seems someone forgot to upload their story. The room erupted again. Marcus lifted his glass, slowly circling the base on the tablecloth. The second water ring bloomed, then he wiped it away with his sleeve in one steady motion. A circle erased. The laughter was still there, but you could scrub it off your surface and wait for it to seep into the floor. Now for some little awards. Tyler raised gold-trimmed certificates. Best Glow Up, Most International, Biggest Boss Energy. Each one triggered automatic laughter. Finally, he pulled out the last slip. Honorable mention, most likely to still be different. Marcus Green, are you here? A spotlight landed on the back table. Marcus pushed back his chair, the wooden scrape sharp and clear. He rose, looked at the stage. Thank you. One word. No more, no less. The room froze, waiting for him to play along so the joke could continue. Nothing came. The emptiness struck everyone like a draft down the neck. Whisper protocol activated. Why invite him? Tyler said it'd be funny. Check out those shoes, 10 years old. Bet he Ubered here, or living at his aunt's. Cheap words sliced thin scratches into the air. Marcus neither sighed nor smirked. He logged it. Every comment, every glance, every beep from the bar, where Chase Walker's card got declined again. The bartender, polite as a screen, covered the message. Chase pulled out his phone. The blue glow lit his face. Final notice. He flipped it over, grinned crookedly, just investor follow-up. No one asked. Tyler scrambled to lift the tempo with random audience interviews. The mic passed to Ryan, to Haley. When it neared Marcus's table, it hesitated, then pulled back, as if the hand holding it suddenly remembered something off script. Laughter stuttered half a beat like a server under strain. Marcus poured more water, set the glass down again. The third ring barely started before he blotted it with the edge of the napkin. A small way of keeping his own surface under control. And now, Tyler bounced back on stage, a moment to thank our sponsors. Without them, this amazing night wouldn't be possible. He flipped his cue card. Blank. A crease of panic twitched his brow. He grabbed another. Also blank. A few uneasy chuckles. Tyler pasted on a smile with lip gloss shine. They prefer to remain anonymous. So, let's give them a hand. The applause scattered like hail on tin. That was the wrong note. Marcus pushed his chair back again. The scrape cut thin and hard through the air, louder than the music. Heads turned. He walked the aisle between tables, shoulders loose, spine straight. At the steps, he paused half a breath, then ascended. The stage lights struck his hoodie, the dried rain flecks sparkling like fallen stars. Marcus didn't grab the mic immediately. He adjusted his sleeve, let his eyes sweep the room slowly. The sound systems hum, the projectors whir, the ceiling fans drone, all background noise suddenly audible because every voice had stilled. He spoke, low but clear, unforced. Thank you all for coming. A ripple of letdown. He nodded, eyes resting on the banner. Presented by Summit Gatherings. And thanks to Summit Gatherings for hosting. He paused exactly one beat, like a conductor readying the strings. Actually, that was me. The syllables dropped like a dry pebble into still water. Plink. The first ripples spread across the faces of those who had laughed the loudest. Someone blurted, "What?" Tyler swallowed audibly enough for the mic to catch. Marcus pulled out his phone. One tap. The Then and Now slideshow snapped off. The screen shifted to headlines. TechCrunch, Forbes, VentureBeat. Green Technologies raises $40 million in Series B. The new face of AI infrastructure. A cover photo. Marcus, in a tailored suit, head tilted. The same quiet eyes of a man who never needed noise to be seen. Gasps threaded through the room like a fuse. Bottom right corner. Estimated net worth, $18 million. Not 9 digits, not flashing neon, just a figure heavy enough to drag the room down to earth. Marcus pocketed his phone, letting the projector stand still. At the bottom corner, a logo appeared. 2 hands, one large, one small, clasped together. Jaden Fund. No one fully understood. They didn't need to. Check it, someone whispered. A dozen phones lit up. Blue glow painting faces, both flushed and pale. Fingers scrolled, eyes flicked, verifying. The links matched, the logos matched, the photos matched. The truth matched. Brooke Whitman lowered her glass, champagne foam puffing, then collapsing. Chase Walker tugged his sleeve over a split seam. Ryan Grant fiddled with a button, as if it could fasten something already undone. Tyler Voss blinked rapidly, as though willing the night to rewind, to slot the cue cards back in place. But time doesn't rewind. And Marcus's water ring, somewhere down there in the shadows, had dried away. The room was a different structure now. Voices reduced to fragments, laughter trapped between clenched teeth. No one touched their glass. No one ordered another round. Marcus stood at the center like a fixed point. He didn't scold, didn't preach. He simply held up a mirror on stage and let everyone face themselves. The spotlight brushed across the banner's words presented by 3 words that now proved the night's power had never belonged to the man holding the mic. Miles away in a small apartment, Jaden was likely asleep, clutching his stuffed tiger, kicking the blanket off. Marcus thought of his son, and of parents like him, tying their days together with the red thread of duty. He swept the room with one last glance. Someone tried to force a laugh. No one answered. The moment had turned, and the night had only just begun. In a single inhale, the room changed color. The blue glow of dozens of phone screens washed over faces still hot from laughter, now pale, speckled with doubt, and slowly freezing into silence. Fingers swiped, tapped, cross-checked logos, cover photos, investor names. Each person verified for themselves, unwilling to trust the one beside them. Truth, once awake, prefers to walk alone. TechCrunch, it's real, someone whispered. Forbes matches the photo. Green Technologies, headquarters is... Cap table shows North Peak Capital and Hawthorne Partners. Names everyone had heard, few had ever seen up close. A series of short, sharp O's fell like a line of dominoes tipped. Brooke Whitman's hand rose to her neck, pulse racing. Ryan Grant abandoned a half-smile, his eyes unfocused. Chase Walker pressed the table edge until his knuckles blanched. On stage, Marcus said nothing more. His silence did the work for him. He lifted the water glass, set it down, leaving a faint ring on the wood. A mark no bigger than a coin, but magnetic, like invisible ink recording. Something happened here. Tyler Voss tried to control traffic. This is clearly a fantastic boost for our class. Marcus, brother, amazing. Maybe share some tips, your journey, secrets, like 5 hacks to success. The last words dropped with a dull thud. 5 hacks. The vocabulary of a hurried crowd collided with what Marcus was laying bare. A 5-year construction. There are no hacks, Marcus said, voice flat. Only the long road. He looked to the front rows. I wasn't at the parties after graduation. I wasn't on rooftop bars on Friday nights or golf courses on Saturday mornings. I was in my kitchen at 2 a.m., one hand holding a bottle, the other typing code. Weird, what you called me back then was just vision your eyes weren't used to. Fail, when you laughed at my rejections, was just patience not yet repeated enough times. A sigh escaped someone. Brooke set her glass down, avoiding the sight of champagne foam collapsing. Marcus went on, steady as a craftsman tightening a bolt. You ask what I do now, roughly this. He nodded at the projector. Green Technologies logo, quiet as a submerged sign, weighty without noise. We build what users never see, the infrastructure that lets AI companies answer when everything demands it at once, not flashy, just needs to run right. A male's voice tried to raise a last defense. All that could be staged. P.R. Chase Walker. But the room didn't look at Marcus. They turned, in unison, toward Chase, the man whose card had just been declined twice. Marcus's gaze shifted over, calm. If PR can conjure a Series B, then you should invest in PR, not a startup. Scattered laughter, different this time. Not ridicule, but admission. Chase dropped his eyes. Marcus tapped another slide. Not spreadsheets. Just a white page with the logo of 2 hands clasped Jaden Fund. This is the only name I want beside mine, he said. Not to show off, to point away. Jaden, my son, 6 years old, is asleep a few miles from here. Over the years, I've learned success doesn't answer every question. But it can answer some, the questions of a single parent who wants to learn programming but can't afford childcare. or a mother who wants a tech support certificate but has to work night shifts. He paused. Jaden Fund will give micro-grants, small, from a few hundred to a few thousand, to buy time. Time is the most expensive thing in poverty. The last words dropped, echoing long. Anyone here who wants to nominate someone, see me after. No selfies, just a name, a story, a study plan. A female voice trembled. Marcus, why did you choose to stay anonymous tonight? Brooke. He met her eyes. Because sometimes the work is better without a name. But some nights, you need a name to correct the story. He looked away, exhaling a breath only he heard. Tyler tried again. Well, we're all happy for you, very proud. And, about that number, $18 million, you know, people say a lot. Marcus answered slowly. Rumors are their job, truth is another. The number on the screen is a conservative estimate of a milestone already passed. But, honestly, no number matters more than how we treat each other. My life won't get better or worse because of a headline. But yours might if tomorrow morning you choose not to laugh at someone else. Stillness. A silence with weight. At the back, a pocket photo printer spit out Polaroids of classmates hugging and grinning. No one picked them up. It felt like standing before a mirror no filter could edit. A hand rose slowly. Haley Brooks, face flushed, voice raw. Marcus, I think we owe you an apology, not because you're rich, because back then and tonight we were lazy thinkers. The phrase lazy thinkers hung like a compact sentence. Marcus nodded, neither forgiving nor lecturing. Forgiveness isn't something to display. At the far end, someone threw a lifeline. How about a class picture with Marcus? Tyler grabbed it, shouting, Class photo! Class photo. No one moved. Whoever stepped first would be signing an admission. The herd had lost its engine. Marcus placed a hand on the podium edge, eyes sweeping one last round. He saw the water ring drying, leaving only a faint trace, the soul mark he'd leave on this stage. I didn't come to take anything, he said, only to return a name, to set it right. He drew one more breath, like closing a page. The rest you'll write yourselves. And for the first time that night, the room didn't need an MC to know what to do. Silence. Marcus, Tyler faltered, his voice stripped of its glossy polish. If you want to say more, He fumbled through his cue cards, fingertips brushing only blank paper. The props that once gave him confidence now stood as proof that tonight no one had scripted the truth. Marcus adjusted the mic upright, like a mechanic straightening a bolt with stripped threads. Not long, he said. Just an old story. 10th grade, science fair. My booth broke down, so I asked your table for 2 AA batteries. You laughed and said, weird kid always missing something. I borrowed from a teacher instead. When they called us up for the ribbon photo, I didn't stand in. Faces tightened. Memories pulled from the basement drawer. That day, I learned something. Not everyone laughs because they hate you. Many laugh because they just need someone to laugh at. He leveled his gaze with the front row. Tonight is the same. You built a comedy sketch. I didn't perform, not because I hate anyone here, but because I don't need that role anymore. He tilted his chin toward the projector. Weird is vision that has no language yet. Fail is patience not repeated enough times. And the difference between us... He stopped precisely where needed, letting the next words spill across the room. Isn't luck. It's what each of us chooses to believe about ourselves and about each other. Brooke gave a tiny nod, as though a taut wire in her throat had just snapped. Ryan swallowed dry. Chase shoved a hand into his pocket, then pulled it out again, aimless. Haley clenched her fingers tight, nails leaving red marks. Small reflexes, like diagnostic logs Marcus had trained his eyes on for 5 years, signs of a system self-correcting. "So, the Jaden Fund?" someone else asked, halting. "How? Does it actually work?" Marcus flipped to the slide. Not data sheets, just a few human lines. Target: single parents wanting to learn a trade, tech skill. Coding, support, QA, basic UI design. Barriers: childcare hours, small fees, transport, old laptops. Solutions: microgrants $500 to $1,500, childcare vouchers, refurbished laptops. Commitment: 6 to 12 weeks learning, plus mentor. Expected outcome: not an overnight life change, just a rung on the ladder. Time, Marcus said, is the most expensive currency of the poor. When you have money, you buy things. When you're poor, you want to buy time. This fund does one thing: buy time for someone trying to climb a rung. Tyler chuckled nervously. Sounds like a pitch deck. But, very inspiring. Marcus, about that $18 million on the screen, some say it's more. Marcus's mouth twitched. Not a smile, just a small shift. Tyler, you're valuing me by what you can measure. Tonight, I want to remind you of a metric that doesn't display: how a room treats its weakest person. The whole room straightened slightly. From the right row, a voice cracked mid-sentence. We got it wrong the moment the sponsor cue card was blank. Ryan Grant. Because we assumed the person funding had to look like the picture in our heads. He scratched his scalp, sheepish. Turns out, you, the one we never pictured, were the one who built the whole room. Chase, as if about to object, stopped. He chose his words. Marcus, I used to think if you said things loud enough, people would believe you were moving up. Watching you tonight, I see, quiet takes more strength. The kindest sentence Chase had spoken all night. Marcus nodded. Not a bad line. Somewhere at the back, a glass drop snapped. No laughter, no "oh." The room had learned a simple lesson. Noise doesn't fix awkward. Marcus picked up his glass again. A fresh ring stamped down, clear and whole. He didn't wipe it away. You ask whether I'll show off or stay silent when disrespected, he said, eyes fixed far ahead, as if through glass into another room where Jaden slept. I've stayed silent a long time. Tonight I speak, not to put anyone down, but to raise one thing: dignity, mine, my son's, and anyone who's ever been laughed at for being different. Haley shifted forward. Is there a way we can help? Marcus shook his head lightly. If you mean it, don't start with money. Start with sight. Next time a room laughs at one person, bend the story. Just one line. Let's hear what they're saying first. In the middle of a herd, one person not laughing is enough. The words fell heavy as a fistful of small nails scattered on the floor. You couldn't see them, but you'd walk differently. Tyler tried another save. How about a fun round? Everyone say one thing they're grateful for? No one answered. This wasn't the moment for 24-word gratitude challenges to churn content. This was the moment to leave it still. Marcus glanced at his watch. I need to head back, he said simply. My son startles easy in his sleep. A flicker of a smile crossed his lips, the first of the night. Not a victor's smile. The smile of a man who just set a brick back in place. He handed the mic to Tyler and stepped down. At the stage edge, Brooke half-stepped forward, then stopped. Marcus. She said his name like giving it back. Thank you for holding up the mirror. He nodded. The mirror was already here, he said. Tonight the light just hit it right. As he walked the aisle, bodies leaned aside instinctively, like water parting for a boat. No applause, thankfully. Applause is a ritual that lets people forgive themselves too quickly. The room needed to hold its silence longer, like lemon polish lingering after a banquet. At the exit, Marcus paused. He looked back over the crowd. The ring on the podium was likely dry now, faded to a pale outline. The ring on his table, probably gone too. No one kept those circles, but the lessons they left would cling. He opened the door. Outside, wet streets reflected the lights like lines of code streaming through the night. Across town, Jaden rolled over, clutching his stuffed tiger tight. Marcus walked into the dark with steady steps, as though closing an old door and letting the light of another room spread a little wider. Marcus left the podium like a man who had just set a heavy object back in its rightful place. Bodies shifted instinctively to either side, opening a path flat as a runway. No one clapped. That was right. Applause now would only let them forgive themselves too quickly. "Marcus!" Tyler Voss called after him, trying to slap the gloss back on his voice. You'll stay a bit? Class photo?" He held the mic out like an olive branch. No one responded. For a beat, Tyler looked down at the blank cue cards in his hand, the emptiness that had exposed the fakery of the night. Marcus stopped at the last step. Brooke Whitman moved half a step forward, her heels stuttering as if afraid of sounding too loud. "Marcus," she said his name, not clipped this time. I'm sorry." She swallowed, eyes no longer darting away. Not for the number on the screen, for how we used you to glue together cheap laughs. For years. The end of her words frayed, wet. Marcus nodded. No judgment, no certificate of pardon. Forgiveness, if it comes, is a matter for the future, not a stage ritual. Another voice, steady but small. "Mr. Green, may I ask?" Naomi Carter, a slim girl by the door, raised her hand like in class. "My sister's a single mom, wants to learn manual QA. Could I help her apply to the Jaden Fund?" The group around her glanced over. This was the right kind of question for a night like this. Marcus smiled for the first time. Of course. The homepage has a short form and a space to tell her story. Make sure to list her childcare hours and what device she has. We've got QA mentors who'll video call at her schedule. Naomi nodded hard, eyes bright as if she'd found a railing to hold. Chase Walker stepped closer, stopping just an arm's length away. He opened his mouth, then closed it, like someone learning a new word. If I wanted to help the fund, then... Marcus tilted his head. "Start by reading the charter carefully. No selfies, no personal PR on the backs of recipients. Sponsors' names are hidden by default. Chase's smile bent. Anonymous. Right. The thought of swapping his profile picture for clout flickered out in his eyes. Another classmate, Gabe Miller, blocked the way. "Marcus, I always knew you'd make it." Marcus's glance was level. "Thanks, Gabe, but you didn't know, you guessed. And tonight isn't the night to collect 'I knew it all along.'" Gabe flushed, stepped back. The truth doesn't need to shout. In the corner, the catering crew quietly cleared trays, swapped out trash bags. Marcus pulled out his wallet, tipped the young server, dodging odd stares. "Thanks for saving the mic when it wanted to screech." She chuckled softly, southern accent lilting. "You're the only one tonight who made sense." A compliment tucked under fluorescent light, warm in the right dose. "Marcus," Ryan Grant scratched his head, his turn to face himself. I think I lacked courage tonight. When Tyler called your name, I should have said, "That's enough." Marcus studied him a moment. Next time, say it. One person can turn a crowd. Ryan nodded, his face lighter, like he'd just finished an easy exercise he'd been too lazy to do. Another small group hovered, asked quietly, "Do you need UI mentors for the parents program?" "We can do 3 nights a week." Marcus noted their email, reminded them, "Schedule by their time zones. Time is the most expensive thing the poor have." The line repeated, locking itself into a few hearts. Haley Brooks stepped up, gripping her glass like a doorknob. I wanted not to laugh tonight, but I did because I was scared of being awkward. Marcus gave a tired smile. Awkward is when the whole room laughs wrong and no one stands up. Next time, try standing, just a little awkward. Haley exhaled, as if handed a small permit against fear. At the mic, Tyler made one last attempt. "So, how about a class picture with Marcus?" No one moved. They understood that photo would hang as proof. We patched it all up in a frame. Tonight, they didn't have the right to forget so quickly. Tyler dropped his hand. The mic thudded as it hit the stand too hard. Marcus reached his table, lifted his glass, looked at the dried water ring leaving a faint salt edge. He set the glass precisely in its center, like sealing a mark. "Marcus," Brooke called again, her voice back to a human frequency. "Can I sign up as a CV writing mentor for parents?" Marcus nodded. "Yes. But remember, don't change someone's life overnight. Just help them up one rung." Brooke mouthed, "One rung," as if reminding herself of a new keyword. He looked up at the Presented by Summit Gatherings banner, the power beam dimming its edges, like a brand name unplugged. A staff member approached. "Mr. Green, the final payment has cleared." Marcus nodded thanks, asked them to pack a brownie for Jaden. A brown paper bag tied with white cotton string was handed over. Near the door, Naomi waited for the QR code. Marcus pulled up the fund form. On the corner of his lock screen was Jaden's face scrunching with a smile. Naomi whispered, "So cute." Marcus smiled. "He taught me the hardest equation, how to buy more time." Naomi nodded, eyes glistening. As his hand touched the door handle, Marcus heard another "sorry" from Chase. No embellishment, no excuse, just 2 words. Marcus turned back. "Thank you. Thank you. For timing, not phrasing." Chase nodded. The first time that night he didn't fix his hair before speaking. Marcus pushed the door open. The hallway smelled of floor wax and cold air. Inside, the rest stayed together, unsure what to do with silence, so they stood in it a while. That was their first assignment, to stand beside a truth without patching it with a joke. The door shut behind Marcus with a crisp click. The night softened by 1 notch. The night wind caught in the taxi window frame like a guitar string tightening to pitch. The city, glazed with rain, stretched its lights into long streaks, like lines of code running across the dark. Marcus leaned back, one hand holding the bag with the brownie, the other unlocking his phone. 12 new emails. Subject lines scrolled past. "Sorry for tonight." "Mentor sign up." "Fund partnership idea." "Article, is it true?" He didn't answer yet. Replies written hot in the night are rarely the right ones. The apartment door opened with a familiar click. Mrs. Evans peeked out smiling, whispering, "The little man's sleeping like a rock." Stirred a bit around 9. I patted him once and he was out. Marcus thanked her, slipped a thin envelope into her hand. She waved him off, but kept it, as always, knowing that refusal would rob someone of the dignity of gratitude. The kitchen glowed soft. The fridge was still Jaden's gallery. Dad plus me stuck crookedly over an electric bill. On the table, 2 Lego train cars stood wobbly, a headlight fallen off to the side. Marcus picked it up, snapped it back with a small click. Taller means stronger, he murmured, remembering what he'd told his son earlier. He pushed open the bedroom door. Jaden slept on his side, arms wrapped around the stuffed tiger, one ear flattened with wear. Marcus sat on the edge of the bed, listening to the thin, steady breath. "Dad's home," he whispered. The words weren't for Jaden to hear, but to stitch a loose thread back inside himself. He placed the brownie bag on the little desk by the bed, scribbled a sticky note. 1 piece in the morning only. Dad. Then he pulled the blanket up over his son's shoulders. Back in the kitchen, Marcus flipped open his laptop. The Jaden Fund dashboard showed new interest. 7 forms filed in just the last hour. One was Naomi's. Her sister, Aaliyah Carter. A single mom with a 3-year-old. Mornings at a nail salon, hoping to learn manual QA in 12 weeks. Needed childcare 3 evenings a week, and a laptop because hers couldn't run 4 Chrome tabs. Marcus opened a ticket. Match Mentor. Slot 8 to 9:30 p.m. Tuesday and Thursday. Provide refurb laptop. Issue childcare vouchers. He pinged Lena, lead QA mentor. Priority, tight schedule. He opened emails from Haley. I'm signing up to write CVs for parents, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 to 9 p.m. I've read the charter, no selfies, no posts. Thank you for pointing the way. From Brooke, a friend, single mom, wants to learn UI, may I refer her? From Chase, I want to anonymously fund 20 microgrants. No name on any banner, just one ask. Send me 2 stories each quarter to remind me I'm placing the money right. Marcus flagged it green. No rush reply. The best pledges are the ones still good in the morning. Another mail, Tyler. Subject. Class photo? Marcus sat up. Marcus, if you allow, I'd like not to post any photos from tonight. I realized we use pictures too often to close stories too quickly. Tonight, maybe the kindest thing is to leave it open. Marcus smiled. He typed, "Thank you for getting it right." Then didn't send. Better to wait for daylight, when repentance cools to steadier truth. He made a glass of warm water, no coffee, no alcohol, and set it on the table. A faint old water ring lingered there. He placed the glass off-center as if telling himself, tonight was a different circle. Numbers flickered in his mind, the $18 million slide, a conservative estimate from a past point. Some whispered $100 million. He let it be. Adjusting the number never changes the slope of a story. Only choosing what to say and what not to bends its path. He opened his to-do file. Verify 7 new forms, priority, childcare. Finalize SLA with mentor group. Send thank you vouchers to catering staff. Draft guideline. Don't turn recipients into content for new donors. Personal email to Naomi. Tomorrow's call schedule. The cursor blinked after guideline --. He typed 1. No selfies. 2. No excerpts of stories without written consent. 3. No speaking for recipients. Every question must come with an offer. What do you need? What we can deliver in 2 hours. Weeks. 5. Be on time, because time is the poor's most expensive asset. Ping. Mrs. Evans. Jaden stirred. I settled him. I'll drop by at 7 a.m. Go to your meeting if you need. Marcus smiled, typed back. Thank you. Tomorrow Jaden has brownie for you. A smiley popped up. He looked at the wall clock, the minute hand tapping like a developer's thumb on the spacebar between thoughts. He remembered the final question, if anyone ever cut tonight into a video. If it were you, laughed at, would you show off or stay silent? He knew his answer had shifted with the role. As the lonely boy he once was, he would have walked out. As a father, he chose to speak, because redefining the story was not just for him, but for the child learning what the world is through how adults treat one another. A new email ping. Naomi, I've submitted. Thank you, Marcus replied with exactly 11 words. Received. Tomorrow, 8 p.m., open your laptop for me. Sent. This one needed to go out tonight, so Aaliyah could sleep with a sliver of peace. He dimmed the lights. The kitchen sank into a golden shade, just enough not to wake Jaden. A fresh water ring shimmered faintly on the table. Marcus opened his son's door again. The boy still slept, mouth ajar, arms locked around the tiger. Marcus whispered, a promise sewn into the air. I'll clear the way. Quietly, but all the way. Before shutting his laptop, Marcus opened a blank tab and typed 3 lines for himself. An internal log, lesson of the night. Silence is a tool, but not always the answer. A name sometimes needs to be put in place to reset the story. Time is the currency of rescue. Keep buying it for those who need it. He saved the file, named it, /notes/room, 2.md- the second room. Because tonight he had stood between 2 rooms, one full of adults learning to face a mirror, and one small room where a child slept in peace. When those 2 rooms could speak to each other through action, the world, at least his part of it, had turned another full circle. Outside the window the rain had stopped. The pavement dried, swallowing the streaks of light. Marcus finished his glass, set it down. The water ring spread a little, then stilled. Enough. He turned off the light, shut the kitchen door, and let the night keep his promise. The morning opened with the clink of a spoon against a cereal bowl. Jaden sniffled, his hair a bird's nest. Dad, the note on the brownie bag, I can only have 1 piece? Marcus chuckled. Rules are rules. Half now. The other half this afternoon. Jaden scrunched his nose like a kitten, but nodded anyway. The glass of milk left a bright circle on the table, glinting under the thin sunlight. Taller means stronger, Marcus reminded, like a charm, as the 2 of them fixed the wobbly Lego train car from the night before. His phone buzzed nonstop. Notifications stacked up. Headline skimmed by. Reunion clip. Loser turned millionaire humbles entire room. Who's the anonymous sponsor? Someone had recorded the moment he said, "Actually, it was me," and uploaded it. Some outlets screamed, "Humiliates bullies." Others sneered, "Poser billionaire." Marcus locked the screen. The loudest things are rarely the truest. Are you going to work? Jaden asked, milk mustache on his lip. Yeah, but we'll add another floor to the train first. Marcus wiped his son's mouth with a napkin. After building, Jaden grabbed his backpack. Remembered to thank Mrs. Evans for last night, Marcus said, pressing his hand lightly on the boy's shoulder like a stamp. The door closed, leaving the kitchen quiet and the milk ring drying pale on the table. He opened his laptop. Inbox exploding. Reporters begging interviews, gossip blogs fishing for a quote, an email from Tyler. Someone posted the clip. I told folks not to share more, but I can't stop it. Marcus typed back briefly. Thanks for trying. Keep the class group from posting. I'll handle the rest. No threats, no takedowns. Revenge always tastes sweet hot and bitter cold. Another email, Rutherford Advancement Office, inviting him to an urgent meeting. Miss Parker, Fundraising Director. The clip has the board buzzing. Some want partnership with the Jaden Fund. Some are unhappy with the way you embarrassed classmates. We'd like to hear your conditions." Marcus read slowly, set his phone down on a coaster. The coffee cup ring left a glossy edge. A message popped from Chase Walker. "I know PR, let me handle comms for you, my agency." Marcus stared at the words handle and agency blinking, then typed back, "Thanks. This isn't a campaign, it's a lesson. I'll handle it with weighted silence. If you want to help, read the fund charter. Anonymous." The typing bubble appeared, stopped, appeared, then vanished. For the first time since last night, words stayed still. Marcus drafted a short open note on the Jaden Fund page. "Don't speak for us. What happened last night is not a viral moment to recycle. It's a mirror. If you feel ashamed, hold that feeling long enough to change behavior. To the press, the fund does not provide recipients' personal info. Do not ask us to write your happy ending. We buy time for learners. We don't sell their stories." He reread every line. No sermon, no grandstanding, just rules. Another ping. "Insider Sparkle. We heard the fund has recipients' course lists. Send them so we can inspire." Marcus screenshotted, forwarded to legal counsel. Draft a standard warning letter. But before the lawyer replied, he edited the fund form itself. Added a top-line notice. "Do not overshare. We anonymize everything except contact email." He rate-limited access, turned off auto-indexing, hashed sensitive fields. At a time when people begged for stories, the folder labeled NO had to run flawlessly. His phone buzzed. Brooke Whitman. "Marcus, if you meet Rutherford's board, I'll come as alumni support." "Not to speak for you, just background." Marcus replied, "Thanks. I'll present 3 conditions. If the school accepts, fine. If not, the fund runs alone." Brooke asked, "What 3?" Marcus tapped back. 1. Code of conduct, banning performative bullying at student events, no mock honors. 2. Childcare stipends for students' parents attending evening programs. 3. Entry scholarships for underrepresented students. Brooke wrote back, "Agreed." Marcus went to a cafe near campus, meeting Tyler briefly. Tyler arrived 10 minutes early, laying down a stack of cue cards, blank. "I hid behind these for years," he admitted, barefaced, hair unstyled. "Last night I tried to control the room with jokes. I was wrong." Marcus looked at the stack. Cardboard emptiness like the photo not provided slide from last night. Then pushed it back. "Keep them, as a reminder that sometimes blank is better than pre-written." Tyler's coffee left a dark ring, overlapping an old stain. He didn't wipe it. "Leave it," Marcus said. "Marks are proof." Tyler nodded. I want to hold a listening session for our class. No MC, no games. Just hear those who were laughed at." Marcus considered. "If you do, invite the right people. Don't invite me as guest of honor. This isn't a show." Meanwhile, Miss Parker's confirmation hit his inbox. Meeting at 3 p.m., Rutherford boardroom. "Some older alumni are upset," she wrote. "They say the school isn't a social center, but the board chair wants to hear your proposals." Marcus answered, "I'll come, on condition. No photos, no inspirational story, policy discussion only." Back home, he slipped on a dark shirt, hoodie over it. Before leaving, he peeked into Jaden's room. "Dad will be back soon," he whispered. The boy stirred, clutching his tiger tighter. Marcus stepped out, closing the door gently. On the kitchen table, the morning milk ring had dried white. He set a new glass slightly off-center, a reminder. This afternoon wasn't a repeat of last night. This would be a conversation, not a reversal. The elevator doors reflected a Marcus no longer the boy labeled "photo not provided." He wasn't coming to rename a hall or to get a statue. He was coming to ask for 3 small but hard things, and if needed, he would refuse even his own money. The promise from last night still warm. Buy time, for Jaden, for Alia, for anyone laying a first brick. And time, if you want to buy it, must start with rules. The city outside stayed noisy, but inside, Marcus chose silence. He texted Brooke, 3 p.m., boardroom. Bring your real voice. To Tyler, if you truly want to fix things, start by not speaking. He locked the screen, slid the phone into his pocket. The door opened, the corridor stretched ahead. The boardroom would likely smell of lemon polish, the kind of scent that hides scratches until someone sets down a new water ring. The Rutherford boardroom was long, narrow, and cold. The familiar lemon scent wrapped the oak table in polish. Along the table, water glasses sat on coasters, each one ready to leave its own ring. Miss Parker, hair neatly silvered, stood to greet him. "Thank you for coming, Marcus." To her right sat Chairman Allen, broad forehead, deep voice. To her left, Mrs. Lopez, alumna of 1990, face open. At the far end, Mr. Whitcomb, a major donor, dark blue tie, eyes sharp as paper clips. Down the table, the alumni representative's chair, Brooke Whitman, arrived just a beat after Marcus. She nodded, no cheerleading. "Let's watch the clip," Chairman Allen said. The screen lit up, showing Tyler thanking the anonymous sponsor. Marcus stepping forward, the words, "Actually, it was me," dropping like a pebble. Pause. Silence. Some alumni felt humiliated. Allen began. He hesitated. "But many emails have been supportive. Ms. Parker says you have conditions for partnership." Marcus looked straight at them. 3. No name of mine anywhere, unless on legal signatures. 1. The school enacts a code of conduct for events, ban mock honors, define performative bullying, and spell out the duty of MCs and staff to intervene. 2. The school provides childcare stipends for parents, students with kids attending evening programs. 3. The school establishes a small admissions scholarship for underrepresented students. No PR, no overcame hardship interviews, just access. Whitcomb snorted. "Rutherford is a school, not a social experiment. Jokes build grit." Marcus tilted his head. Grit doesn't need an audience. Grit is a student saying enough the moment a mock award is raised. Does Rutherford train that? Or does it train dueling with a crowd? Whitcomb drummed his fingers. "I won't fund this kind of strings-attached nonsense." Mrs. Lopez spoke. "Last night I had 3 calls from parents. One skipped 2 shifts to attend a college counseling session but had no child care. They left halfway through." She looked around slowly. "A stipend makes sense." Chairman Allen nodded, taking notes. Another voice, warm, deep, Dr. Patel, student advisor. "I've seen performative bullying for years. We never had language for it. Just, oh, kids are joking. I support the code of conduct." Whitcomb shrugged. "So, next you'll ban teasing altogether. Kids will grow up glass." Brooke straightened. "Kids don't turn to glass because they weren't teased. They break because they were dropped a few times in front of everyone and laughed at." She turned her pen, letting its tip rest on paper. "I laughed last night. Today I'm ashamed, but shame is useful if it changes behavior." Whitcomb sneered. "Young lady, you're swept up by feelings." Brooke lifted her eyes. "If those feelings make us sign something that protects people, I want to be swept." Marcus didn't step in. He let the room move itself. Miss Parker suggested, let's vote each item. Alan nodded. Item 1, Code of Conduct. Yes, Alan, Lopez, Patel, Brooke, alumni vote. No, Whitcomb, Mr. Rhodes, businessman, Mrs. Kent, retired teacher. Undecided, Dean Harris. We need one more, Parker said. Dean Harris removed his glasses. I used to think teasing was culture. But last night, I saw a performance, and I hated the performance. I vote yes. Item 1 passed. Item 2, childcare stipend. Whitcomb snapped, the school isn't a daycare. Marcus calmly agreed. But who does the school lose when events are always scheduled for those with childcare already? Fairness isn't treating everyone the same. It's setting a chair for those without one. Mrs. Lopez chuckled softly. Setting a chair, I like that. Yes, Lopez, Patel, Brooke, Harris. No, Whitcomb, Rhodes. Chair leaned, yes. Let's pilot one semester. Item 2 passed. Item 3, admissions scholarship. Whitcomb shoved back his chair. If this passes, my pledge is gone. The room dropped half a degree. Parker's face flickered, tallying lost pledges. Marcus said, if you withdraw, I won't replace it. Money isn't the first problem. Principles must come first. Without them, money only buys silence. The room stilled. Brooke leaned in. If he pulls out, I'll cover part, and I know 2 alumni who'll match. Not his level, but enough to start. Whitcomb smirked. You want to turn Rutherford into a morality museum? Marcus replied, no. Just a school. A place where people learn not to laugh when someone else is made into content. He locked eyes. Last night, when that honorable mention was raised, not one adult said enough. Today, let's try being adults once. Alan tapped the gavel against the table's edge, a dull knock in the lemon air. Vote. Yes, Alan, Lopez, Patel, Brooke. No, Whitcomb, Rhodes, Kent. Harris looked around, then nodded. Item 3 passed. Whitcomb shoved his chair back, standing. You'll regret this. He left, the door closing behind him, leaving a water ring on his untouched glass. Miss Parker exhaled, a sigh carrying 5 seasons of fundraising. Thank you, she said softly. We'll draft policies and pilot next term. Marcus nodded. Good. No name of mine anywhere. But I want an empty frame hung in the lobby, labeled photo not provided, to remind anyone passing of what they don't see. Alan smiled gently. A monument to absence. I like it. Brooke brushed her notebook cover. And the alumni listening session? Patel answered, I'll co-host with you. No MC. Current and former students who were mocked will speak. The rest will listen. Marcus added, no photos. No edits. No storytelling for them. The meeting adjourned. As people stood, coasters lifted glasses, leaving faint circles that only appeared in slanted light. Marcus watched them, thinking. The evidence of debate wasn't shouting, but those watermarks. Signs someone sat long enough to change a mind. In the hallway, Brooke walked beside him. Will you tell Jaden? Marcus smiled. He only needs to know Dad came home on time. They both chuckled softly. Parker called after. The photo not provided frame. I'll request board approval this week. On the stone steps, the air carried the scent of wet leaves after rain. Marcus checked his phone. Naomi's email confirming 8 p.m. Lena's update. QA mentor matched for Aaliyah. He texted back. Thank you. Start this week. He pocketed the phone. A rain ring on the step gleamed like a coin. Marcus stepped aside from it. In the distance, he pictured Jaden sketching another crooked sun, scrawling DAD plus ME. And somewhere else, Aaliyah opening her refurbished laptop, writing her first test case, login with invalid password. Small asserts would soon become big beliefs. Some things must be true, and they will be if you repeat them enough. Marcus zipped his hoodie, descended the steps. Behind him, Rutherford was still Rutherford. Brick walls, glass doors, lemon polish. But inside, a new policy was being typed, a childcare pilot framed, and soon, an empty frame would hang in the lobby, asking each passerby, "What are you not seeing?" That is how rooms change, not with applause but with quiet water rings, set down, dried, leaving faint outlines that don't fade. A week after the board meeting, Rutherford set up a temporary wooden stand in the lobby, holding a large blank poster board with a small plaque taped to its edge. Display frame, photo not provided, pending permanent installation. No picture, no faces, just an intentional absence. Everyone who passed by looked because there was nothing to see. Emptiness pulled the eye toward what was missing. Friday night, the multipurpose room was cleared into a circle of chairs. On the wall, a paper chart carried rules in blue marker. 1. No filming, photography. 2. Listen to understand, not to reply. 3. Don't storytell for others. 4. 3 minutes each, tears allowed, no apologies required. 5. If someone interrupts, say, "Enough." Dr. Patel walked the circle, checking the table mics were off. Tyler stood at the welcome desk, holding no cue cards. In his jacket pocket, a stack of blanks stayed, like a talisman reminding him not to lead. Brooke arrived early, laying down CV mentor forms and a box of tissues. "I'm not talking much tonight," she told Dr. Patel. "I'll listen." He nodded. "That's the hardest role." Marcus appeared at the doorway, hoodie over dark shirt. He didn't enter the circle. "Tonight is their room," he murmured to Dr. Patel. "I'll stand at the threshold, listen, then go back to Jaden." Patel understood. "Right. If you sit in, the room will orbit you. It doesn't need that." Marcus nodded, stepped aside. The listening session began with a minute of silence. Miss Parker opened briefly. "Thank you for coming. Tonight, there's no program. We're here to talk about the times the room laughed wrong." She sat, equal with the rest. First spoke Jamal Reed, scholarship class of 2017. "I wore the same old cap to school. Passing the lunch table, someone yelled, 'Freshman Friday.' I laughed along because I didn't want to ruin the fun, but tonight I'll say it. I was scared. I just didn't want to lose my seat." Silence held. No one threw in, "Stay strong." 3 minutes passed. Jamal sat down, not rushing to wipe his eyes. Then Maya Tran spoke of her stutter turned into a running gag. "They called me buffering. Over time, I chose classes based on teachers who didn't call on me." She breathed deep. "I want to give my name back. I'm Maya. I speak slow because I want to be right." Brooke clenched her hands, nails whitening. Tyler raised his hand, then lowered it. "Permission, not to speak tonight." He pushed the blank cards deeper into his pocket. The small gesture was seen by all. An MC learning to step out of center. At the threshold, Marcus leaned against the wall, hearing the creak of chairs and breathing gaps. His eyes caught the water jug on the side table. Faint rings appearing, drying, leaving pale outlines, proof people had stayed long enough. He thought, not everyone needs speeches. Sometimes all that's needed is a safe room to place down, "I was afraid," without it being bent. A ping. Lena messaged, "Aaliyah's in Zoom. I'm mentoring. Naomi's beside her with the baby." Marcus checked the time. 8 o'clock sharp, as promised. He walked to his car, opened the laptop on the passenger seat. 2 video windows. Aaliyah, gray tee, tired eyes. Lena, Warm voice, steady rhythm. Session 1, Lena said. We won't dive into tools. We'll learn how to see. QA isn't about catching bugs, it's protecting experience. Tell me one user journey, say, sign up for an account, then we'll write the first test case. Aaliyah nodded. On screen share, a sheet opened. Goal, sign up with valid email. Steps, /sign up arrow, enter valid email. Arrow, enter password, greater than or equal to 8 characters. Arrow, tick terms, box arrow, click. Create account. Expected, assert. Account created. Confirmation email sent. Risks, timeout on weak network. Typos. Create account stays disabled until checkbox ticked. An assert is a promise, Lena said. When an assert fails, we fix the system, not the user. Aaliyah chuckled softly. I'm used to fixing myself first. Starting today, I'll try fixing the process. Off-screen, Naomi rocked the baby. The infant murmured, then quieted. Marcus listened, didn't intrude. He just typed one line in chat. Time box 90 minutes. If baby wakes, pause, rest, continue. Time is what we buy for you, not what you owe. Aaliyah replied with a heart emoji. Lena gave a thumbs up. Another ping. Chase. I read the charter. I'm funding 20 grants anonymously. No photos, no posts. If you need actual labor, tell me to move chairs. Marcus typed back, thanks. Sunday, we're swapping drives on 12 refurbs. Bring a screwdriver. Chase replied, okay, then silence. That was the right volume of help. Back in the multi-purpose room, the session carried on. Mrs. Lopez shared a memory. Back in 1990, we had mock awards. I laughed, thinking, that's just American school. I was wrong. Tonight, I want to apologize for my 1990 self no claps. They left the apology alone, like setting it on water to ripple. At 9:15, Dr. Patel closed with an exercise. Each wrote one sentence they promised to say next time the room slid into cruel fun. The wall filled with shortcuts like keystrokes. Enough. Let them finish. We don't need this kind of fun. Change the game. No. Tyler stuck up a blank slip, wrote one word. Silent. Marcus returned from the lot, stood before the paper dense with vows. He didn't sign. On the side table, water rings dried, overlapping into a pale map, like rainfall traced. He walked into the lobby. The temporary photo not provided frame still stood, white and mute. He paused a beat, then left. Another room was waiting, the small one with Jaden and the stuffed tiger. At home, Marcus eased open his son's door. Jaden sniffled, eyes shut. Marcus placed his palm on his forehead like a drumbeat. In the kitchen, he poured water, set the glass down. A fresh ring, printed, round as a promise. No need to wipe. Leave it for morning, when sunlight would reveal the faint edge. These circles made no noise, but they recorded. Before bed, Marcus checked his phone. Naomi's email. Great session. I logged 3 test cases. Thank you. He replied with 11 words, same as last time. 3 sessions this week, just keep the rhythm steady. Send. At the corner of his screen, a new school notice. The frame would be permanently mounted Monday. Beneath, a line from the newly approved Code of Conduct. No one is a prop. Marcus smiled. At least one room had learned a line. He turned off the light. The night stood still, like a water ring just dried. 2 months passed. Rutherford's childcare pilot quietly ran. A small check-in table at the end of the hall, 3 low plastic chairs, a shelf of comic books. On the wall, a new value statement in bold, no one is a prop. At one orientation, a student tried flashing an honorable mention slip as a joke. The teacher on stage raised a hand. Enough. The room froze, then shifted to a game where no one was made into the punchline. No applause for the teacher. Good. Adults don't need applause for doing the right thing. The photo not provided frame was now fixed in the lobby. No nameplate, only a small note. The most important things are often the things we don't see. Students stopped to take pictures, then couldn't find a caption, so they left it blank. One day, Marcus stopped by to sign some technical papers for the AI Lab infrastructure project. He stood in front of the frame for a few seconds, as if staring into a blank inside himself, the blank of things he no longer needed to say. The listening session became a monthly rhythm. Tyler still came, sitting in the back row, no MC. Brooke set up a simple mentoring format, 20 minutes CV review on Zoom, 20 minutes mock interview, 20 minutes feedback. No recording. The sign-up sheet filled within 48 hours. Ms. Parker sent out anonymous thank you emails to a short list. No photos, no press CC. That was the lesson. Don't storytell for others. Chase changed quietly. Sundays, he showed up at the storage unit where the fund kept its machines. Beanie hat, no stylist, no cameras. He carried boxes of SSDs and a screwdriver, opened cases, swapped screws. Dust clung to his fingers, hair frizzed under the knit cap. "This is real tech," Marcus joked. Chase laughed honestly. "This is me, no post." They worked 4 hours, never once mentioning PR. Afterward, Chase texted one line, "Thanks for giving me real work." Aaliyah kept pace with her 3 weekly sessions. Week 4, she drafted a small test plan. Week 6, she tried exploratory testing. Week 8, she wrote a reproducible bug so clear the devs thanked her. Naomi wrote, "My sister smiled for the first time when a dev said, 'Good catch.'" Marcus replied, "Keep the rhythm." This work wins by steady hands, not breakthroughs. By the end of month 2, Lena placed Aaliyah in a part-time QA contract with a local SAS, 20 hours a week remote. The fund's childcare vouchers covered 3 more nights. The pay wasn't much, but it was a rung. Aaliyah emailed simply, "I bought a new chair. I sit steadier now." Marcus smiled at the word chair. At home, Jaden started swim class. "Today a kid got laughed at for wearing his cap backward," he told Marcus. "What did you do?" Marcus asked. Jaden winked. "I said, change the game." I lent him mine. Marcus ruffled his hair. "You set a chair for him," he said, borrowing the new language. Jaden didn't fully get it, but grinned. That night they wrote on the whiteboard together. Assert, kindness equals true. Jaden asked, "What's assert?" Marcus said, "A promise you check every day." Once, tabloids tried to reignite the $18 million versus $100 million story. Marcus stayed silent. Brooke texted, "Want me to correct it?" Marcus, "No, we don't drag a story back out of the room that already learned the lesson." Silence, chosen well, had become a shield. The code of conduct worked where no one noticed. Cruel jokes cut short earlier, student MCs put mics down in time, a teacher's glance was enough, a classmate whispered enough just when needed. The school's atmosphere didn't flip overnight, but its pH shifted a bit, less acidic. One afternoon, Marcus brought Jaden to Rutherford's lobby. The boy stopped at the empty frame. "Why no picture, Dad?" "Because some things don't need a picture to be remembered," Marcus said. "Like what?" "Like how we don't laugh when someone's made the joke." Jaden nodded solemnly, as if memorizing a pool rule. Outside, rain sprinkled. They sheltered under a cafe awning. On the plastic table, Marcus set 2 mugs of hot cocoa. Heat spread, leaving 2 water rings, one small, one broad. Jaden pressed a finger into his. "Mine's tiny." "Tiny but warm," Marcus said. He looked at his own ring, larger, tougher, and thought of the rooms. The first, where laughter stormed, the boardroom, where the gavel fell, the listening room where fears were laid in a circle, and his kitchen, where a promise dried into a faint ring every morning. That night, Marcus opened notes/room2.md and added, "Next lessons. 4. Turning a herd doesn't need oratory, just one person first saying, 'Enough.' 5. Anonymity isn't hiding. Sometimes it's the kindest form of help. 6. The empty frame is useful because it competes with no face. It reminds us of blind spots." A new email from Tyler. "Tonight no one fought for the mic. It was good. I'll stay silent for a while." Marcus answered after a pause. Silence is also a verb. Before bed, Marcus reviewed the fund schedule. 12 new mentor hours opening. 5 refurb laptops needing batteries. He booked Aaliyah for a V2.0 bug report review. At the corner of his eye, Jaden slept curled, hugging the tiger. Its ear stitched back with Marcus's clumsy threads. Ugly stitches, but they held the stuffing inside. Next morning, father and son added another floor to the Lego train. "Taller means stronger," Marcus repeated. Jaden nodded, pressing the joint tight. Outside, rain broke into light. On the table, last night's cocoa rings had dried into faint outlines. No one wiped them. No need. Those outlines were records. A mug had stood here. 2 people had sat here. A few enoughs had been spoken somewhere in the city. And if you asked the first question again, if it were you, mocked by the room, would you show off or stay silent? Marcus would likely smile. It's not about picking one word. Sometimes silence builds, sometimes speaking resets. More important, who will you be in the room? The laugher, the mic holder, the one who says enough? Or the one who sets down a quiet glass so the faint ring tomorrow reminds others that dignity was placed there, not loud but binding? And that is Marcus Green's journey, from a boy dismissed as nothing to a black single father who proved that different is not failure, but strength to stand steady and clear the way for others. If it were you, mocked by an entire room, would you walk away in silence or stand up and reveal the truth to change the story? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If this story touched you, don't forget to hit like, share it with friends, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss the next meaningful video. Do you want me to craft a shorter, tighter version of this ending that fits neatly at the close of a video?